when I did left initially, I got a text message from a mentor saying, I knew you were going to quit.
That's terrible.
And he said, you could have been somebody if you would have stayed.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just like, I was almost like confused. It's just like, what did I do to make this dude hate me? Hey guys, it's Nathan and I'm here today with Brendan. We're both instructors for Tattooing 101. And we've had a lot of new subscribers lately, so not a lot of them may not recognize me. I mainly work with the students inside of the Tattooing 101 program, whereas Brendan kind of handles all of our content on the front end. So he's definitely a lot more recognizable than me. Yeah. But yeah, I've flown to Tennessee to hang out with Brendan and make some content over the next couple of weeks. And we wanted to do a bit of a different video today, mainly focused around tattoo education online as a whole. Now, there's a lot of people in the tattooing community that strongly disagree with learning how to tattoo online, and we definitely do take some criticism for the things that we teach and what we reveal. To kind of understand why we do what we do, I think it's important to sort of understand the story behind it and how kind of me and Brendan both came up through tattooing. Because it gives a lot more context around why we're so forthcoming with what we teach and
why we're so passionate about it.
Why we love doing what we do. And for me, the main reason is me and Brendan both have very similar stories. Like I had a 4-year apprenticeship. Brendan,
about 4 years. Yeah.
And you did like 3 separate, with 3 different shops.
Yeah.
I only had to do 1, but it was 4 years, and it was pretty brutal. Like I worked 6 days a week for free. And sometimes I'd eat 1 meal a day, and just because I didn't have enough money to buy food. And I lived in a share house with 4 other people paying $100 a week rent, and most of my time I'd be in the shop all day, cleaning, answering phones, working counter, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you said you've pretty much worked your 20s away.
Half of them, yeah. The first half of my 20s was all kind of just given away. And then when I get home, there were a couple of jobs that I had throughout my apprenticeship just to kind of make ends meet. I thought that my apprenticeship was about to end, so I'd quit the job, and then it just turns out that it's like
dragging it along,
still going. But I definitely gave up a lot in my early 20s. Like I didn't travel, I didn't party a whole lot, I didn't really date or anything like that, and I definitely missed out on a lot. And it was a really, really difficult time. And the things that I kind of had to sort of see and kind of work through, like the mentor that I was learning under, very difficult person to be around, very confrontational, very difficult person to work with. When that person had a bad day, everyone in the shop had a bad day. By the end of it, everyone left the studio that he owned, and all on bad terms. I didn't meet a single person that left on good terms from that studio. So, and it ended up, getting sort of abruptly ended up after 4 years. It was kind of getting to the point where it's like, I'm doing the same, tattoos as other artists in the shop. I'm tattooing, full sleeves. I'm doing, big jobs, and the quality of my work is, continuously improving, getting better and better and better. And, I'm charging the same amount of money as everyone else. And I was still on a 40% split as an apprentice.
Man.
And 40%. And it got to the point where I'm thinking, hey, like it feels like this is never going to end. 4 years in, and there was kind of no word from my boss at the time. It's like, hey, when we're going to get signed off. And I started to, be a lot more proactive. I started looking for guest spots, and I found a place in Melbourne City that I wanted to go to. And it was actually a lot easier than what I thought it would be to find a guest spot. I thought that everyone would kind of turn me down because I was technically still an apprentice and I was still new to tattooing. But within 5 shops that I reached out to, I'd gotten a guest spot. And I told my boss about it. I was like, hey man, do you mind, if I do a guest spot, in another studio? And he kind of, I guess you could say, took that as disloyalty and, kind of grabbed me by the throat and smashed my head against the wall and fired me that day. Well, he didn't really fire me. He just kind of, some harsh words were exchanged, and then he sort of left. And then I just said, man, I've been here for 4 years and I've worked my ass off. I've shown nothing but loyalty. And to be treated like that, it just kind of made me sad.
The final straw.
Because I don't know, I knew like my mentor was hard on me, but I thought he really cared, and that kind of just made me feel like I was disposable.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, I can't believe I just given 4 years of my life working for this guy and helping him, run the shop and do all these things. And just to be treated like that, it just made me sad.
Yeah. No.
You know, and I was just like, man, this sucks. And I left that store. I just put all my stuff in a box. All the other artists in the studio was just like, man, you sure you want to leave? Like, you know, you're 4 years in. And just like, man, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
I thought my tattooing career was over then and there. And I had finally just thrown in the towel. I had no idea what I was going to do. And for like a week, I just kind of sat inside, you know, my house and just thinking like, man, I just feel with so much regret. It's just like, man, I feel like I've just wasted all this time and it was all for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until one of another tattoo artist I knew, they had come into our studio a few times to get tattooed by one of our other artists. And I reached out to them and was just, you know, said, how you doing? And they kind of asked, you know, how's tattooing going, stuff like that. Because she had only been apprenticed for like 1 or 2 years and she was already, you know, way further ahead than I was. And I told her what had happened and she's like, dude, you got to come to, you know, our shop and just, you know, tell the boss what happened. I'm sure they could give you a job. And so I did that. And literally that day, I got hired and put on as a full-time tattoo artist. Yep, I got a pay raise like on that very day, and I had my own booth, much nicer studio. And I even said to the guy that owned the shop, it's like, hey, like I still hadn't technically finished my apprenticeship at the other place. And it's just like, man, how long have you been like doing that for? It's like, 4 years. And he kind of looked at me and he looked at, you know, my portfolio. It's like, man, you're fine. Yeah. So he just put me on as a full-time artist. It's just like, how long have I been?
Yeah, man. And imagine how many people have the same story.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people with similar stories. For a lot of people, it doesn't work out with, you know, kind of a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like that. You know, a lot of them, you know, they'll get into tattooing and they'll kind of get, you know, like strung along for, you know, a bunch of time.
And they just quit.
And then they give up on their passion, you know. And I remember one of the things, as soon as when I did left initially, I got a text message from a mentor saying, I knew you were going to quit.
That's terrible.
And he said, you could have been somebody if you would have stayed.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just like, I was almost like confused, just like, I mean, what did I do to make this dude hate me? You know, and it's just like, man, I tried so hard to do good. And
you can't please everyone, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and it just felt so, it just sucked.
Yeah, man.
It sucked so bad. And I started seeing, like, throughout my entire tattoo career, I would meet other apprentices, very similar story, you know? And it got to a point where it's just like, man, why is it so painful to learn how to tattoo?
And that's the crazy thing nowadays with everything changing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. So that's the reason why, you know, I enjoy helping and teaching others so much, is because I remember how difficult it was for me to get into tattooing. And, you know, when I can help people that are maybe, you know, a little bit, you know, more established in their lives than I was, so like, you know, in their 30s, you know, and up, or even in their early 20s, that aren't in a position where they can just take 4 years out of their life and, you know, not get paid and work, you know, 6 days a week. To be able to help them transition to something in a way that works for them, so that, you know, don't have to put their entire life on hold, so they can do something that they're passionate about. It feels good, and I like doing it. So that's why I like to teach.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So my backstory is pretty much the same when it comes to our apprenticeships, so I won't drag everyone through that whole story. But to get down to the core of the reason I do what I do, I'm going to give a brief story, which will enlighten everyone out there. So my passion for teaching actually started a few years ago when I met Dylan. He was an aspiring tattoo artist that worked in the same shop that I was working at. He just started an apprenticeship. He actually just got out of jail and was living in a halfway house. So through that period of time, I got to see him start tattooing. He was having a little issue. He was using a coil at the time. And what I did, I let him use my rotary. He took a hold of that and just completely changed everything that he was doing. Everything he was doing wrong, because he was tattooing in jail, so he was using pretty much a handmade rotary machine anyway. He was able to learn so much in a little amount of time from just the little pieces of information that I could give him through that period of time of working with him. Eventually, you know, we became really close. You know, working with someone every day, you know, either learn that you're going to be really, really close to someone, or obviously they're not the people for you.
You know, like, get out.
Yeah, exactly. So I had an opportunity. I had a basement in my house that I was able to pretty much clean out and have him get out of that halfway house and to come in and be able to live with me. Through that period of time, we have, you know, I've had so many memories of us sitting up watching Dave Tevenall when he did like the live drawings and stuff, and we would just sit there and draw. And, you know, he was sober and helped me get sober actually for, through that transition. We went to, meetings together, going through the, STEP program. So he was able to help me out a lot. He helped me grow, and I tried my best to be able to give that back and help him learn how to tattoo and become the best he could possibly be. So throughout that period of time, he changed his life. I ended up opening up my own studio. He was still there and got into a really great shop. And throughout that period of time, we would stay in contact. Then one day I got a phone call, and out of respect for his family, I won't go into too many details. But he passed away way before his time. And just hearing that news is just so crushing. I'm sure everyone watching has lost someone that they cared about, and just having that feeling of, pain. And I started looking back on all the good times that we had together, all the times that I would call him and he would just talk to me about him leveling up, getting into a new shop, a new machine he got. And it was such an amazing feeling that, just through words and kindness, you're able to help someone better their life. And that's the reason, to my core, why I love to teach. Being able to see people grow, being able to help people with art.
Yeah, it is fulfilling. Like when you see someone like this genuinely going for a place in their life where maybe they're not super happy with how things are going. Maybe they're in a job that they don't like so much, or maybe, they're in a bit of trouble with the law, or maybe, they had a bit of a run-in with like drugs or whatever. Being able to take someone from that place into the place that they want to be, doing a career that they're passionate about, becoming successful, and getting to the point where they're able to, not only provide for themselves, but their family, but have a good, fulfilling life with experiences of things that they actually want to do, and not be, feeling crushed down by just life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And to be able to help people get out of that and do something that they want to do,
makes everything worth it.
It feels good. That's why I do it.
That's why I do it.
So yeah, when we see, the negative comments and stuff, sometimes, YouTube videos, don't get me wrong, we get a lot of positive comments too. We love you guys. We thank you guys for supporting us. But for the few out there that maybe don't agree, that don't like either one of us, or, what we do, we don't really let it phase us, because, we both believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've seen people's lives change, getting into tattooing, and
we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're here to stay.
So yeah, now that you've heard both, Brandon and I's motivation for, teaching, I'd love to hear from you guys, what's your motivation for learning as a tattooist? Because everyone's got a different journey. Everyone has a different reason for why they want to tattoo. So drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear your guys' story. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.